Hey everyone, it's Matt with SpiceWorks. Thanks for tuning in today and joining us on another SpiceWorks Partner Webinar, covering your assets with cutting-edge video surveillance, brought to you by Western Digital. First off, I'd like to remind everyone of a few things. There's a Q&A box on your screen to the left. We encourage you to submit your questions at any time during the presentation. We will get to those questions at the end via a verbal Q&A. But if your question isn't addressed live, WD will be able to follow up with you. Another thing to remember is that we are recording this webinar, so if you have to step out for a bit, it's no big deal. You'll receive a link via email to view this recording in a few days. It will be an on-demand presentation, so you can check it out as many times as you'd like. Well, that's all I have, so now it's my pleasure to introduce today's presenters. Joining us from QNAP, Hernan Lopez, Channel Sales Manager and Director for Latin America. And also from Western Digital, we have Darren Bullock, Director of Product Marketing. And also, a bit later, Britton Spagnuolo from WD will be joining us to help moderate Q&A. But first, I'm going to hand it off to Hernan and let him get us started.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Matt. On behalf of QNAP, I want to thank SpiceWorks and Western Digital for putting this together and for not allowing us to come in and talk to your people today. So let's get started. We're going to talk about QNAP today, a little bit about us. Okay, who QNAP is. We're going to talk, go over some real-world solutions. Okay, video storage, video surveillance storage, and some NVR solutions as well. So let's talk a little bit about us, QNAP, who we are. QNAP is a spinoff of II Technology Corp. It's a large corporate manufacturer of industrial products. Okay, QNAP spun off in 2004, so we have about 10 years experience offering world-class storage systems. Currently, we have about 520 employees. 80% of those are in development and engineering, and the other are our support sales channel, obviously worldwide. Currently, we have about probably about 3.5 million active systems worldwide, and that breaks down to about 1.5 million in the West, in the Western Hemisphere, and about 1 million in Northern Europe, and about 1 million down in Asia. And these are active. These are not sold systems. These are actually systems that are currently active right now. A little bit more about us. We like to pride ourselves in our hardware. We're a hardware manufacturer. We build our systems, we design our systems, and obviously sell our systems. So in doing so, we choose and we select the best hardware available. We don't cut corners when it comes to quality of our components. We do use Intel processors for our higher end systems and our modern systems. For our lower end systems, we do use Marvell processors. Software, our systems are Linux embedded. Okay, so the great thing about that is ability to create and to write programs a little bit easier using the Linux platform. So a lot of the integration partners that we work with, like Control4, Crestron, AMX, 2,200 different camera models, IP camera models. This allows us to work a little easier on the back end. So we get things get done a lot faster when it comes to integration or new technology coming in. Customers. These are our current customer base, and actually I've had the opportunity to touch base with several of these customers, wrapping up this year end. So I personally did reach a lot of these customers and just thank them for their business and contact them. Government, as you can see, the United States courts, the U.S. Army, Air Force, NASA. In defense, we work with Raytheon, Boeing, JPL production, and we talk about film production and editing is NFL, DreamWorks, Bandito Brothers, and Edge Factory. Retail, every BMW in the United States has a QNAP system inside of it, and that was a rollout that just happened this year. The last 18 Best Buys that have been built and opened all have QNAP systems inside, using as a storage media center and also as a surveillance system. Disney as well. Disney Parks also uses QNAP. Steve Madden uses QNAPs as well for their surveillance. Several universities that you guys might be familiar with University of Oklahoma, University of Stanford, Missouri Baptist, and so forth. So we do have a big client base, as you can see. These are just some that I listed. There's several more. Rest assured. So let's talk a little bit about some of our solutions and get down to business. So what the QNAP NAS, and this is the QNAP system storage device you have here on the bottom left-hand side. Okay. So what we talk about is a QNAP NAS or QNAP storage system. We talk about NAS system. Okay. Now within the NAS system is the ability to create web hosting, cloud access. Okay, and this is ideal for a retail convenience store similar to this one, which also has the surveillance, the ability to use the NVR features within the system. Okay, and be able to use that as an all-in-one solution. Okay, we also have digital signage. Okay, digital signage ability to stream and to edit, to perform network functions on a network, to be able to use that, to see that also in a retail setting. Back office, obviously your storage, your backup, those types of back-end stuff come included with the QNAP, as well as HD streaming. So again, a great solution, all-in-one solution for your customer base. Here's another solution. Now, the great thing about and why we're talking about this today is because our next presenter, Darren, is going to talk to you about Western Digital hard drives and what hard drive is best to use with what solution. Not all hard drives are created equally. They're all different. As QNAP, we consult with Western Digital. We're constantly contacting them, working with our partners and saying, hey, you know what kind of hard drive is best for my customer solution? So we actually link them together to create a perfect solution for the customers, and we hope that perhaps you guys would be doing the same. Because again, not all hard drives are created equal, so we really need to take a look at that. Just because we're web hosting or just because it's surveillance, sometimes it might fall into a different category, and Darren's the expert, and he is going to talk to you about that in a few minutes. Here's a medical and dental office. As you can see, same type of solutions. Okay. All right, and next we have. Okay, this is a small office, obviously. Same types of solution as you can see here, the surveillance, web hosting, virtualization, printers, servers, and centralized storage and backup. So again, the same principle, and again, Darren's going to talk about these solutions and how they tie in together with the QNAP and the storage. Control4 certified, we talk about this a lot. Home automation, we've been getting a lot of requests for these. A lot of our customers saying, hey, you know what, we work with Control4, can we get your systems too? And the answer is yes. Both our storage system and our NVRs work within the Control4 environment. More information, you can find that on our website. The need for higher storage. Okay, as technology advances, as the need for higher megapixel cameras comes about, we are going to have to store them somewhere. Okay, and we recognize this. So here's a little screenshot of what we're talking about. Let's say we're looking at a typical 5 megapixel camera. Okay, let's say it's at 30 frames per second. Okay, in 1 year, that's going to require just one camera is 32 terabytes. And that's just in one camera. Okay, so we need to start thinking about this when we talk about projects, we talk about larger megapixel, we talk about HD recordings. This is something that we need to keep in mind. Okay, so we're going to talk about video surveillance solutions. We're going to talk about 3 different types. One is video surveillance storage, the traditional NVR method. The other one's going to be video surveillance storage. Okay, using Windows OS within our system. The other one is going to be the edge recording and how this comes into play with QNAP and with Western Digital. Okay, so let's talk about a little bit about the traditional NVR method, and that is a camera recording on a network, and you can see here a switch. Okay, and recording directly onto a QNAP NVR. Okay, again, this is a very typical method. This is the method that's used most. Another method is using obviously the surveillance cameras in conjunction with the QNAP NAS. QNAP NAS, you can add a Windows operating system onto it and then install your preferred CMS. Okay, and then from there it records, and then if you need long-term storage, you can always transfer that data over to a storage system as well. Okay, let's talk a little bit about this trend. We see a lot of this SD edge recording, okay, and how it comes into play. You're wondering, well, if it already has memory on board, why would we need more recording? Well, for the simple fact that these little SD cards sometimes might have a high failure rate, or let's say they are destroyed or something happens to them because they are attached to a camera. So let's say a perpetrator smashes them with a bat, per se. Something's going to happen. Your video recording's on there. It could compromise the data that's on there and can get you into some hot water. So what we like to do and what our customers like to do is, yeah, it might be sitting on an SD card, but it gets transferred over to a QNAP system. Okay, QNAP system, Western Digital hard drives. So it's recording there. It's sometimes it's on site, sometimes it can be off site as well. It will be secured. It will be rated, so you have nothing to worry about. Always keep that in mind. Great solution, and this is definitely the way to do it to secure yourself. Now we're going to talk a little about NVRs. Okay, here's a couple highlights we're going to talk about. QNAP NVRs. They are turnkey IP surveillance solutions. Okay, it's one system. Everything comes included. All you have to do is you can connect your keyboard, your mouse, and your monitor directly to it. It's a standalone system. Okay, and they're built to push about 2 megapixels per channel, 10 megapixels per channel. They're rated that way, and it works great. Okay, easy setup. Okay, our systems are built, and the GUI is built for easy setup and easy use. You don't have to take 40-hour classes or certifications to learn to use our systems. You launch it, you get it going, and it's easy to function, easy to play back, and easy to use. As I mentioned, HDMI. It does have an HDMI output. Good news, right around the corner, we have a system that's going to have a dual HDMI output. That one's coming out pretty soon in a couple months. So we're really proud to say that, and you guys keep your eyes open for that. Okay, the remote web management. Great thing is you can log in anytime, whether you're at home, whether you're at work, or you're driving. You can log into our NVR systems. Okay, take a look, monitor, watch your cameras, see what's going on at your customer site. Supports IP cameras, as I mentioned, 2,000 IP camera models. So it gives you the ability to choose, to select, to create the architecture that's best for you and your customer. Capacity, the ability to expand your storage, whether it's a small system that needs to expand. For long-time storage, you have a lot of government projects that say, hey, you know what, we need 90 days. Okay, we need 6 months, we need a year of storage or 2 years of storage, and some of our customers do. We can help you with that. Our interface, they're very intuitive, easy to use, as I mentioned. If you look at it, it looks very similar to a DVR. We like to keep it that way. We're not going to change it. We're not going to make it too complex where somebody can't find something or it's hidden. We like to keep it very simple, easy to use, and easy to maneuver. Playback interface, similar to YouTube channel or one of those channels where you can watch playback over in the bottom. If you can see the bottom little duck, that's actually an instant preview that pops up when you float your mouse over it. So you float your pointer over it and it'll pop up. So you don't need to go into full playback to look for something. You can actually scan the recordings utilizing the instant preview. Okay. Again, the ability to use our system as a standalone system is very important. You don't have to log in through the network. You don't have to do all these things. You connect your keyboard to it. As a matter of fact, if you just connect the mouse to it, a monitor, you can use the keyboard interface that'll pop up for you. There's a little icon. Click on that, the keyboard will pop up. So that helps you out a lot when you're in the field, when you're working, setting up projects. This is very, very useful and very intuitive. Data reliability, and again, Darren's going to talk about this. Darren Bullock's the expert. He's going to talk about hard drives and how these come into play when it comes to surveillance and why it's different than data storage. It's very, very unique and different, and he's going to explain to you why. Monitoring notification, whether it's motion detection, whether it's a network disconnection, whether it's a block, someone's blocking the screen, no matter what it is, you'll get a notification via email, SMS, it'll send you a text, and it's a loud buzzing sound. You connect it also to your existing alarm, so the alarm function will kick in, and a large alarm will sound in your place of business. Dual network cards. Redundancy for us is very important, so the ability to set up a redundant network on your system is really important to us. So it comes built in with the dual LAN, so you can set off to two different LAN networks. In case one fails, you have the second one as redundancy. Smart recording, a great feature, great function. Basically what it is ability to focus in on a particular quadrant with higher megapixel, okay, and higher recording sensitivity in that section. Helps out a lot when you're working creating projects, let's say in doorways and hallways, where you really don't need to take too much particular interest on the ceiling or something like that. So this is great feature also. Smartphones, we have the apps that work with your smartphones. Okay, the great thing is it has multi-streaming. Okay, it'll show you all the cameras listed. You can pan, tilt, and zoom in using your smartphone and see all your live monitoring directly from your smartphone at any given moment. Full spectrum of NVRs. We start off at 2 bay and 4 channels. That's about the range about $300. Scales all the way up to larger scales, 56 channels. We have a 70-channel system as well. Megapixel throughput. I think one of the most important aspects of our products is, and something you want to consider when you're creating a solution, IP solution for your customer. What is the throughput? What is the maximum throughput? How many channels of cameras can I connect, etc. Very important for us. Questions, concerns, it's on our website, guys. Take a look at it. Go to QNAP.com, and it'll explain all this information for you. Intelligent monitoring notification, as I mentioned, gives you all this information, pushes you out this data, so you can have at any instant moment, you can find out what's going on at any location. Multi-server function, the ability to connect up to 128 cameras and several NVRs, and that's up to 16 NVRs from one system itself. You can actually daisy chain them all together. On our website, you can find our QNAP NVR selector that'll help you select your which NVR is best for you. So you plug in how many cameras you need, frame rates, quality, and how many days of recording, and it'll suggest you which NVR is possibly best for you. So that's it for us for QNAP. I hope this has been informative for you. And I know you guys probably have a million questions, and I'll be more than happy to answer for you offline. Just go ahead and send the team an email, and I'll be happy to send you this information as well. So again, on behalf of QNAP, I want to thank you for allowing us on this webinar, and thank you for tuning in. And I want to hand it over to Darren, and Darren's going to take over from here. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Hernan. Thanks for the great surveillance overview and the QNAP surveillance solutions. Okay. So just going into a little bit on surveillance storage from Western Digital. Just want to highlight a little bit great growth opportunity in the market for surveillance. So this is definitely a focus area for Western Digital, as well as I believe many people throughout the IT and security world. So we see the purple on top here is security video recording or surveillance video recording, and then the other colors are just kind of other products in the digital video world. So we've got Blu-ray, multifunction printers actually kind of show up in the market data as well, and then there's the just standard set-top box from the cable guys. So it's interesting if you look at it from historically. The set-top market's been a pretty significant part of the digital video world, but you can see over time, especially starting in kind of the 2013 timeframe, you can see on both the revenue and the volume charts here that surveillance is growing faster than the digital video segment, the set-top box segment, and it's actually looking to overcome that space as well. And I think many of us know how many set-top boxes are just in your own family or through your friends and others. So it's a pretty big market. But the TAM for that is not growing quite as significantly as the surveillance market is. moving forward. So just wanted to highlight what are some of the growth drivers that are going on in the surveillance market. So you look across the industries, you got banking, finance, commercial, education, government, retail, and even transportation is starting to become much more critical as either safe cities around the world or certain neighborhoods and counties, communities want to have more security tied to even public transportation. And when you look at it across to the different applications, you got asset protection, business intelligence, emergency response, again, public safety, and even automation in process and factories. So really tied to intuitive protection, safety of citizens, customers, and staff, kind of smart infrastructure. IP video definitely drives a lot of opportunity. The image quality can be much better on the NVR and digital side. Mobility, and there's a lot of work going on in the industry on video analytics. So it's not just record it and maybe never look at it again. There's a lot of businesses that are actually, especially retail businesses that like to look at video analytics and see how does the traffic flow, what did how does the day look from a just foot traffic point of view. And again, that's tied back into business intelligence. And one of the good things is the security industry and surveillance industry is moving more towards a standards-based innovation. So it'll be easier to scale systems, easier to integrate, and then will allow for a wide range of solution partners. So just wanted to show from a hard drive point of view where the majority of hard drives used, and this is the worldwide market, in video surveillance. So you can see DVRs, and really what we consider a DVR is really just a digital video recorder that's analog based, where you have a kind of a finite number of cameras that you can attach to the system. You can see the NVRs over time are going to grow significantly for many of the reasons that I explained earlier. The capability of the NVR systems is higher, will enable more complex and more capable cameras, and really it's just much more simple to set up from many different types of aspects. I mean, you can see the server-based storage, which would really be tied more to really high-end solutions, and then external storage for perhaps either archiving or incremental or scalable storage for surveillance systems. And then kind of two charts here. The left chart, and this is highlighting the number of channels for DVRs and then NVRs. And you can see there's quite a bit of a difference from the scalability. And again, these are hard drives used within these DVRs on the left-hand side, and then the number of channels that are supported by the systems that the hard drives go into. So you can see roughly half of them are 1 to 8 or 1 to 9 channels. You can see 16 channels is actually the biggest part of the where hard drives are used, and then 17 and above is a little bit smaller, and then greater than 32, which would really be more of an enterprise application, is kind of the smallest piece of the market. But if you look at an annual basis, it's roughly, in 2013, it was about 18 million hard drives were used in DVRs, growing to roughly 22, 23 million in 2018. On the right-hand side, you can see for hardware NVRs, and I've got them on the same scale, so you can see that it'll take out to kind of 2018 for NVRs the hard drives used in NVRs to grow to about the same scale as DVRs. But you can see the number of channels that NVR supports, and channels could be tied into camera count as well. Scales much more quickly for hardware NVR. So you can see the 1 to 9 channels is the light blue on the bottom, 10 to 16 is the green, and shows that growing. I mean, that's really almost 90% of what you would see in the DVR is 1 to 16 channels. And then the number of channels on 17 to 32 in the purple. And then really a big bucket, 33 to 99, is really the biggest segment, and then greater than 100 channels, which would be more of a higher end enterprise type of installation, is in the yellow. So I just wanted to highlight the scalability of NVRs in the future is going to drive growth from a hard drive count point of view, as well as the number of channels that are supported on these types of NVR systems. Okay, so Herman kind of mentioned it, that we want to talk about making sure that the right hard drives are used in the right applications. So kind of left-hand side, what type of application will a hard drive be installed in, and then how the application will be used and in what type of environment. We do have different products for different applications, and we've, from a WD point of view, we've color-coded these. So we've got the WD blue, which is for everyday storage, the WD green, which is tied into capacity storage, the WD black, which we target at performance storage, and we've got the WD red, which we target for NAS storage. And then lastly, and the newest addition to our family that we introduced in February of this year is the WD purple, which is targeted at purpose-built surveillance storage. Unfortunately, many people think that one hard drive can fit any need and every need, and we know that many of these applications are now significantly different from a use case point of view. If you take surveillance as an example, it is very much, it's 24/7, always on, but it's primarily writing to the hard drive 90 to 95% of the time. And the only time that something is read back from the hard drive is if somebody decides they want to go back and look at perhaps an event that could have happened or just see what was going on. But it really, from much of the analysis we've done, there's not a lot of reading that goes back unless there's some incident or a call to action. Where on all of our desktop drives, and including the red drive, it's more of a 50-50 kind of thing, and even in some cases you might see, like in a NAS environment, where it's written kind of one time, and then it's read many times, so you get a lot more reads off the hard drive than you would than writes, as an example, in a NAS system. So we've optimized our drives targeted at each of these different types of applications. And I'd like to talk a little bit more about our purple drive moving forward. So the WD purple hard drives, they're purposely built and designed specifically for surveillance systems. They come in a range of 1 terabyte to 6 terabytes. So we support 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. The interface on these hard drives is SATA 6 gig per second, and they have a 64 megabyte cache size on them. And the warranty is 3 years. And the applications, Hernan showed some perfect examples of the applications in his section, but it would be purpose-built home, small office, and small business surveillance and security systems. The key benefits of the WD Purple hard drive, it's designed for 24/7, always on, as most people don't want to only have surveillance systems during business hours, because many times that's when all the right things happen and not the wrong things. We do have specific technology in the Purple drive. So it offers we call it exclusive all-frame technology that helps bring reliability and peace of mind when you install the home or small to medium business security system. And then they are energy efficient and money saving. So we've optimized the power and the performance to keep the power consumption low and the performance high, which keeps the surveillance system happy. If we can consume less energy and be more efficient, we'll actually generate less heat, which will cause the fan in the surveillance box to run less. So it's kind of this whole chain of events by having the storage that is efficient and optimized. You can get the performance you need out of it without having to spend a lot of money on power. And then from a recognition point of view, we've gotten quite a few recognition awards. Here's 2 examples. One is at Tweaktown, just from a performance point of view, and then we're actually featured on the cover of ANS Installer as we launched the Purple Drive, and working with many of the VMS partners, we've heard back that the WD Purple Drive performs very well in their internal benchmark testing, and they appreciate the effort and the engineering that we've put into these drives. So some of the key features around our WD surveillance hard drives, again, I've talked about it. 24/7 reliability. It's built for always-on surveillance applications. As a reference, our desktop drives, when we design them and do kind of our reliability and validation testing, we assume that those are not going to be running 24/7. We know that there's no reason that they can't run 24/7, but from a number of power-on hours, we look closer to 8 hours a day, 5 days a week type of application, which gets you closer to 3120 power-on hours per year, where the 24/7 times 365 gets you to almost 3x that at 8760. Our purple drives are designed and capable to support up to 32 high-definition cameras and or channels, and they support up to 8 drive bays in a given chassis or system, which from a DVR and even many of the NVRs today would cover those systems. And the nice thing about supporting up to 8 drives is it provides for expansion or of future and or existing systems. And again, as Hernan showed, depending on the resolution that you're recording and the number of channels and the retention period that you want to have in your surveillance system, the capacity and the number of hard drives that you put in the system is going to be key and paramount to that, especially as you take RAID into account and the redundant aspect of that. And then for the all-frame technology, again, this is the kind of personalization, the firmware that we've put onto the drives to improve system performance. Again, optimizing around a much more write-intensive application. There's things we can do in the drive to provide higher performance optimizations. And then we also have some other features in here like ATA streaming that can help reduce errors and frame loss, that can also improve playback and enable higher drive counts as well. So the WD Purple is storage that's designed and optimized for surveillance applications. From a performance comparison point of view, the table here on the left-hand side, we've got kind of 3 bars, a purple bar, a green bar, and a red bar. The purple is the WD 6 terabyte hard drive. The green is a standard desktop hard drive. And the red is a competitor's surveillance hard drive. And you can see the left-hand 3 bars is at 5 megabits per second recording. And this is using 16 cameras. And then the right-hand side is using 8 megabytes per second recording. So the 5 megabits roughly scales with kind of a higher-end standard definition recording. And then the y-axis that we have here is effectively the efficiency of the system. So how idle is the hard drive? So how quickly can it process the streams that are coming in? You can see at 5 megabits per second with 16 cameras, the WD Purple drive is still about 60% idle. So it's using about 40% of its capability to do the 5 megabits per second across 16 cameras. You can see the desktop drive that is not optimized for surveillance goes below 20%, and in our kind of criteria, we're using less than 20% as a failure. And the reason for that is there's other events that happen in a surveillance system or even in a hard drive, like there's some background processing that happens in the hard drive, and then on the system side, there could be file system or operating system updates that need to occur that are in addition to just streaming the video. So you want some amount of buffer so you don't stream starve the streams that are coming in or the surveillance video being recorded. And you can see on the competitor's hard drive, it's at about 37% idle. If you bump this up into 8 megabits per second, which is that's on the high HD or high definition kind of classification, you can see that WD Purple drive is still about 38% idle. The desktop drive is well below even 5% idle, and then the competitor's hard drive is roughly around 5%. So from this type of benchmarking that we are utilizing. You can see that the WD Purple outforms a standard hard drive and the competitor's surveillance hard drive. And the reason for that is that the competitor's surveillance hard drive and desktop hard drives become saturated at the higher throughputs with 16 cameras. And that can result in risk for dropping commands and losing video frames, which, of course, nobody wants to have happen. Okay, so what are some of the advantages of WD Purple for surveillance? It is the largest surveillance drive shipping in the market today with up to 6 terabytes. We spend a lot of time working with our surveillance partners on compatibility, and even we take it a step beyond compatibility and work with them to figure out how can we optimize the hard drives around their systems. As NVRs come out with more complex RAID and the number of cameras and channels, we're working with them to make sure that, as an example, the file system and the video is laid out on the hard drive in such a way that it doesn't detract from the performance and can actually enhance the performance as these systems become more and more capable. So the WD Purple drive does outperform the competition. And we are very much focused on the power consumption and want to continue to be best in class. Again, if we can get the optimum performance out of the system and not have to consume a lot of power, that's a win-win for everyone. And then the WD Purple enables upgrades and expansion of existing systems today. So if you have a surveillance system with one drive in it and there's room for 2 or 3 more, instead of having to buy a whole new system, you could just increase the capacity and be able to either upgrade the cameras that are currently attached to your system, or you could increase the retention period perhaps from maybe 1 week to 2 weeks, or even up to 30 days if so desired. And then the other thing that we're working on is it allows for improved marketing across the systems that our partners that would install the WD Purple solution can use and highlight and state that they're using optimized surveillance storage in the system rather than just a common off-the-shelf desktop drive that again may not provide the same amount of performance and capability as an optimized surveillance hard drive. Okay. And then when you look at just some of the assets and things that we have today. Sorry, this is because I get the build. Didn't mean for it to be a build. You can see we spend time working with review sites to make sure that people are able to see the value of the WD Purple drive. We've got a lot of content on our website and videos. We also provide targeted emails and banners. We work with security media publications to highlight the technology in the hard drives and even do case studies. You may have seen us or will see us at surveillance-based trade shows. We've got interactive training modules as part of our WD University on all of our products, but even specifically on our surveillance. We do have, you may see some point-of-sales materials as well. And then we do marketing with our alliance partners as well, like QNAP, and then other players in the surveillance world, just to make sure that people appreciate that one size fits all is not the right solution for all of your storage needs, and want to make sure that people are using the right drives for the right application. Okay, so that was it from the WD Purple hard drive and kind of market update. Thank you for your time, and I'd like to now hand it off to Britton to see if there's some questions that we can answer for you guys.
Yep, we had a few questions come in during the presentation. I'll start off by asking the first one. What's the distance that the camera and the network can go before out of reach?
Hey, Brent, I believe that's a question a QNAP can ask. Well, it depends. It would definitely depend on some factors. What we do recommend For example, it depends on the switch you're using, the router, and the power rating on it. For example, if you're using a PoE switch, you want to check on that power rating. That power rating will tell you the distance of how far that power can take, can get over to the camera. In some instances, it is limited. However, there are ways around this. There are fixes to this by using PoE injectors. These PoE injectors will actually inject more power into a relay that'll get you the power needed for the distance of your project. So there's no right or wrong answer. It's all the power rating of your PoE switch. So definitely take a peek at your PoE switch when you're creating the solution. You want to ask how long is the distance from the camera to the NVR, and you would definitely look at and then look at the PoE and say, look, I need a power over Ethernet switch that can give me this range or this distance of power.
Okay, thanks. Next
welcome.
question. This will be for Darren. What is the difference between enterprise hard drives and the surveillance drives?
All right, that's a great question. The enterprise drives are really targeted at data center applications, so kind of higher end storage and servers. Couple differences between them. One is, as our data center drives are high performance. We have some more enablers in them to enable more of what we call 100% duty cycle at 24/7 times 365. So they're really industrial grade or enterprise grade hard drives running at 7,200 RPMs, with some other enablers like hardware vibration compensation. So we actually have sensors on our enterprise class hard drives, because they tend to get put into systems with a larger number of hard drives, as well as larger fans that are within the systems that can generate a lot of vibration, which in theory doesn't cause reliability issues with the hard drives, but what it can do is slow down the performance of the hard drives, because the hard drives have to stay on track in order to read the data, and if there's a lot of vibration being imparted on the drive, it'll be difficult to read. We do have a version of software-based vibration compensation on our Purple drives, but because many of the surveillance systems aren't as large, and the performance needs off of them aren't as high as the enterprise class drives, we can use just our software-based vibration compensation. Another difference is our enterprise drives have a 5-year warranty, and then our Purple surveillance hard drives have a 3-year warranty. So those are pretty much the main difference. So also the data center drives are not optimized for surveillance like the Purple drives. They're much more from a general purpose point of view for more enterprise or data center type applications.
All right, thanks. Another question around the difference between a couple of our drives, the WD Red and then the WD Red Pro.
Okay. Yeah. So great question. And our Red drives are targeted at NAS systems. So similar to the enterprise type of explanation that I just provided versus our surveillance drive, the WD Red drives are targeted at NAS systems. More of the SOHO and consumer-based systems. So those will go up from roughly 1 to 8 bays as well. We use a similar type of software vibration compensation there. And these are more optimized for power and performance drives, where our WD Red Pro drives are more aligned with our enterprise or data center class drives, where they will have the hardware-based vibration compensation. They have a 5-year warranty. And again, they're really more designed and optimized for the higher performance and higher bay count NAS systems.
Okay. Next question. For testing, do you use IP cameras or is it a software stress tool? Yeah,
so assuming that's tied to our to the benchmark testing that I was showing, that is actually a model where we've got 16 cameras done, but we've also worked with our partners as well, where they scaled up, to 32 cameras, and we've been able to replicate the testing results in that way as well. So we really want to look at it both ways because, of course, every model is not always indicative of what exactly happens with cameras attached to the surveillance system.
Okay, and then just one last question. Is there a significant increase in the failure rate with the larger drives as one of the audience members has seen firsthand with other companies?
We're not aware, and we definitely did not design the higher capacity drives to have any significant increase in failure rates. We actually have seen through some field feedback that our 5 and 6 terabyte drives, both the red and the purple, are performing as well as our lower capacity drives, 500 gigs through 4 terabytes. So we are not seeing them with our drives. And again, the intent from a design and shipment point of view is that they have the same quality and reliability criteria and requirements as our lower capacity drives as well.
Okay, well, that'll wrap up the Q&A portion of the webinar. I'm going to go ahead and hand it back to Matt.
Great. Thanks, Britton. And thanks to Hernan and Darren for the great presentation and Q&A there. We really appreciate it, guys. I do want to remind everyone that if your question wasn't addressed live, Western Digital will be able to follow up with you. And also, if you had to step out or missed any part of today's presentation, you will be receiving an email in a few days with a link to view the webinar on demand. So keep an eye out for that. Well, once again, I want to thank Hernan and Darren for the great presentation, and special thanks to Western Digital for sponsoring today's event. I also want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in today. We hope to see you back soon on another SpiceWorks Partner webinar. But until then, stay spicy.